And of course, the clock is ticking as Senate Republicans move forward with a health care bill that only 15% of the country supports, and a large number of medical groups have flat out said it is bad public policy. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky plans on holding a vote on the controversial bill next week. So far, Republicans don't have the 50 votes they need to pass it, but they do sit around 47 or so. The bill will allow states to opt out of covering pre-existing conditions, one of the most popular features of the Affordable Care Act. Those states have to explain how they intend to keep those people covered. The bill would make sweeping changes to the ACA. It would eliminate the individual mandate to buy coverage, and it would redistribute Medicaid expansion and subsidies to individual states to let them make their own decisions on coverage.
I think it has a very good chance. There's tremendous support from Republicans. Certainly, we're at 47 or 48 already senators, and a lot of others are looking at it very positively.
Two senators, John McCain of Arizona and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, have publicly said they do not support the bill, and there are others who are still on the fence. Joining us right now is Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, the Assistant Democratic Leader. Congressman Clyburn, when you look at what's happening over on the Senate side, the reason this is so important, they are close. They sit right now at around 46 or 47 votes. You have Republicans in the House who have said if the Senate gets this through, they are going to pass this bill in the House and send it to Trump for his signature.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I think they're even closer than 46, 47, quite frankly. I do believe if this bill were to get to the floor of the House, it would pass. I am hopeful that the Senate will be able to keep this bill from coming out of there, because we just don't have the rules that they have in the Senate. On the House side, we can't filibuster. People can't stop the vote. They don't have any motions to proceed. The Speaker puts it on the floor, and all he needs to do is get 218 votes. And the fact of the matter is, I think that there are 218 votes in the House for this bill. Not a single one of them are Democrats. The Republicans got close to 240 votes, and so they can give up 30 votes. I think we were within 24, but they can give up 20 votes and still pass it.
And again, what I've said to people is you can't just sit at home and say, oh, somebody else is going to do the work. These senators now are feeling the pressure. On Monday, when they came back to D.C., I mean, they were feeling good, saying how close they were. Now we're seeing it. Yesterday, Congressman Clyburn, all 50 state Medicaid directors came out against this. That's huge.
That is huge. Well, the fact of the matter is, you're not going to find any hospitals or medical professionals, be there in Medicaid, Medicare, or just rural hospitals. This bill would be decimating to these rural hospitals. I represent quite a few rural communities, and I can tell you, since this weekend here in Washington, rural hospital representatives are here. They are really concerned about this because they know what this will do to them. And it's not just about medical care. It's about the economics of a community. When you have these community health centers facing the cliff, we aren't even doing the thing on September 30th. We could very well lose almost 2/3 of the community health centers in this country. And here we are not doing one thing to keep them in place. So the people have got to become alarmed. People have got to get on the phone. People have got to get on whatever medium they can find and yell about this, because if we don't hear from people, they'll pass this bill. You hear from enough people, they'll back off of this bill.
Congressman Jim Clyburn, South Carolina, was really appreciated. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you so much.
Pressure, pressure, pressure works. Let's go to our panel. Robert Patillo, attorney and CBS radio personality in Atlanta. Amber J. Phillips, co-host of Black Joy Mixtape podcast. Yuri Terwelde, former prosecutor, criminal defense attorney. Again, pressure. That's the only thing this Congress will. What killed this bill before was the pressure these senators faced, and that's why McCain voted against it. That's why Murkowski voted against it. That's why Susan Collins voted against it, because they got so much blowback from constituents.
Well, one thing we have to understand is that this is not a repeal bill. This is not a replacement bill. This is an addendum to Obamacare, which makes it worse.
A terrible addendum.
They're making an already...
This is
terrible.
This is repeal.
Definitely along the lines of repeal.
This is repeal.
Definitely along the lines of don't want people to have health care.
What they're doing is taking a system which is broken on a national level and spreading it out into 50 different broken systems.
That is code language for a repeal bill, just so we're clear.
It's not code language. It's worse than a repeal.
Block grants are repeal.
But here's a piece here. Here's a piece here. You have to pass something. This is all about repealing, and this is also about tax reform. What they're doing is they want to be able to remove the tax subsidies in this bill to pay for the tax cut they had planned for the rich in the next bill. That's what this is. This is not just about health care. It's also about taxes. And when I say repeal, this is their whole piece. If you get rid of the Affordable Care Act, even with this bad bill, now the deal is going to be, oh, now we can come back and reconstruct something different. No, this is repeal.
Definitely, and it's giving white supremacist states that are along the lines of Donald Trump's activism or ideology to deny health care to the people who need it the most. Block grants are setting us up for failure. They're setting us up for more sickness in this country, and we need to call it what it is. It's an attack on the American people, just like everything else that has been proactively coming out of this administration.
Your D was interesting when you talk about these various states. And again, I listened to language. So when Senator Lindsey Graham uses language like we're returning power to the states, that is code to their followers, even though their followers are the ones who are going, who are sick when you go to Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana. And so that's music to their ears. But this is all about repealing what they call Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act.
Absolutely. When you're trying to pass a bill that you don't want anybody to see, it's like trying to release a movie without any previews. I mean, you don't, without a CBO score, I mean, this isn't about health care. It's absolutely a repeal, and the effects are going to be felt. And to expect states to come up with a health care plan on their own when we could barely do it ourselves is ridiculous. And then to give them, what, 2 years?
And then I just want to add...
And wait a minute. Here's why 2 years. Because they wanted to take effect after the 2018 midterm.
Absolutely, it's all calculated.
And just to add, states like California have been making amazing strides to provide better health care on top of the ACA. So if these states were honestly about not repealing, then they would have already been doing this work. But instead, they've been limiting that access, blocking access to health care. Anybody could have followed California's lead that has expanded what has already been given from the government.
Right. Well, see, that to me was the most hilarious. Oh my goodness, these states that expanded Medicaid, we're going to shift the dollars. They chose not to. North Carolina chose not to. South Carolina chose not to. Texas chose not to. And who is against this? Republican governors in states that did, because they have seen a dramatic drop in those uninsured in their states. They've seen there's been a dramatic drop across this country of the number of people who have used health care as the reason they filed for bankruptcy. See, that's what they're angry about. They're angry that it's actually working, even though there are problems that can be fixed. They don't want to fix it. Here's the thing, Robert. Robert, this is why I'm calling it repeal. They don't want to fix the Affordable Care Act. They want to be able to say, we got rid of the Affordable Care Act, and now we're going to put something in its place.
But let's remember, the Affordable Care Act shares its fundamental DNA with a 1993 Republican health care plan. It is a nationalized, it is a nationalized version of Romney Care that is destined for failure. This is already the Republican idea. What we need to be working towards is an actual nationalized system.
But it's not. First of all, it's not destined for failure. You have significant success. But what you have here is, though, there are parts that need to be fixed. But again, let me say it again for folks listening. This is not about pattern after Romney's health care plan in Massachusetts. They know that this is the signature achievement of President Barack Obama's 8 years as president. That's what they're targeting.
And it's not even a money situation, because they just put $700 billion
in the Pentagon
into the military.
So when Lindsey Graham says, when Lindsey Graham says, I made a campaign promise to repeal Obamacare. That's the driving force.
That's the driving force, and that's what's so sad, because you have people who are willing to let millions of people lose health care and potential. You have kids who need health care, and it's all about a campaign promise,
yes.
And politicians don't keep promises, and all of a sudden you want to keep this promise. And to say that it's not a repeal and you're trying to fix Obamacare is ridiculous, because they talk about it as a whole. They talk about this whole thing imploding. They don't talk about the good parts of Obamacare ever.
Hold tight, folks. Again, the number to call is 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh, my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.